Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl who was loved by everybody who looked at her, but most of all by her grandmother. Once she gave a little cap of red velvet, which suited her so well that she would never wear anything else. So she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her,
"Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak."
"Oh, take great care,"
said Little Red Riding Hood to her mother and gave her hand on it. The grandmother lived out in the woods, half a league from the village, and just as Little Red Riding Hood was entering the woods, a wolf met her.
"Good day, Little Red Riding Hood."
"Thank you, kindly wolf,"
said Little Red Riding Hood in her sweetest voice.
"Whither away so early, Little Red Riding Hood?"
asked the wolf.
"I'm going to my grandmother's."
Said Little Red Riding Hood with a smile in her voice.
"And what have you got in your apron?"
Asked the wolf.
"Cake and wine. Yesterday was baking day. So poor sick grandmother is to have something good."
Explained Little Red Riding Hood politely.
"Where does your grandmother live?"
"A good quarter of a league into the woods."
The wolf thought to himself,
"What a tender young creature. What a nice plump mouthful she'll be to eat rather than that old woman. I must act craftily so as to catch both."
So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood. Then he said,
"See, Little Red Riding Hood, how pretty the flowers are about here. Why do you not go and look around?"
Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes and saw pretty flowers growing everywhere. She thought,
"Suppose I take Grandma a fresh nosegay. That would please her too."
and so she ran from the path into the woods to look for flowers. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house and knocked on the door.
"Who's there?"
"Little Red Riding Hood, I'm bringing cake and wine. Open the door."
Lift the latch.
Called out the grandmother.
I am too weak and cannot get up."
The wolf lifted the latch, the door sprang open, and without saying a word, he went straight into the grandmother's bed and devoured her. Then he put on her clothes, dressed himself in her cap, laid himself in bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running about picking flowers, and she had gathered so many that she could carry no more. She remembered her grandmother and set out on her way. She called out,
"Oh dear, how uneasy I feel today. And at other times I like being with grandmother so much." "Good morning."
but received no answer. She went into the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother and with her cap pulled far over her face and looking very strange.
"Oh, grandmother,
She said,
what big ears you have."
"It's better to hear you with, my child.
replied the wolf.
"But grandma, what big eyes you have."
The better to see you with, my dear.
"But grandmother, what large hands you have."
The bigger to hug you with, my dear.
"But grandma, what terrible big mouth you have."
The better to eat you with."
And scarcely as the wolf said this, with one bounce he was out of bed and swallowed up Little Red Riding Hood in one bite. Later on that day, a huntsman came along and saved Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, and they all lived happily ever after.